We are Derek and Jamie Schluter. We are Women's Health Ambassadors for the St. Francis Gala.
So we got married in 2018. I always knew, my whole life that I want to be a mom. Couldn't wait for that part of my life. We decided to start trying about a year after we got married. And I remember going into it thinking, this might take a few months, but that's okay. I'm young, we have time, nothing but time. After about a year of trying, I had a well woman's appointment with Allie Sporleader here at Mosaic. We talked about, how things were going. It had been over a year. She told us we should go ahead and look into things a little bit deeper at that point. So she referred us on to some additional tests. At that point, we did a semen analysis, which once we got the results of that back, we ended up being referred to a urologist, who then referred us on to a fertility clinic. This began our long journey navigating infertility. We ended up being referred to a fertility clinic in Overland Park, Kansas. We started with an IUI, which is intrauterine insemination. It's a medical procedure, but it's a little bit less intense and time-consuming than an actual IVF cycle, so that's where we started. Unfortunately, that was not successful. So at that point, we were looking at starting IVF. We did end up taking a bit of a break from everything, life and the grief and everything that comes with infertility just really took a toll on us at that point. So we kind of stepped away from everything for a little bit. But then we did go ahead and dive right into an IVF cycle. In IVF, it's time consuming, it's hard mentally, physically. We had a 2-hour drive for every appointment, and there were times where we had appointments 3 days in a row, and we'd have to be down there first thing in the morning. So that in itself is tiring. Our first IVF cycle, our egg retrieval, unfortunately only resulted in 1 embryo. And that transfer of that embryo ended up being unsuccessful. So at that point, we were looking at a second IVF cycle, a second egg retrieval. So our second egg retrieval was much more successful. We ended up with 6 healthy embryos out of that one. So we were kind of riding a high there, and we went into that second transfer, feeling really, really good. And it's nice knowing that we have multiple embryos to fall back on. But unfortunately, that one also ended up being unsuccessful. And at that point, you're really just starting to feel like you're just getting bad news after bad news, and it just grieving, honestly. Something that really made a difference for us was being open about our journey from the very beginning. Being open about it to our families, our friends, colleagues. It helped us build a support system. Because if I had received bad news or I had a procedure that sucked, I could text one of my friends and be like, hey, I just went through this, and they would rally around me, honestly. I feel like that made a huge difference on my mental health. Not having to bottle things up, not having to feel like I needed to hide what we were going through. And also being open about it, it opened up a dialogue with people that also went through similar things or had been through similar things or knew somebody who was, because I feel like most people at least know somebody who's been through something similar to what we were going through.
I'm going to kind of talk about the male side of things. of the IVF cycle. It's kind of, a silent pressure that is put on the men's side because, men are supposed to be stoic and they don't really open up. I'm one of those men. I keep a lot of things in. I don't like talking about my feelings, but I want to tell people that it is okay to do that. I mean, watching your loved one go through all that and, injections and all the, time I spent in the waiting room and driving down there and everything, like, it does take a toll mentally. And then, again, as a male, when you have infertility problems, you feel somewhat helpless in that situation because I'm a fixer in a way. I want to be able to fix things. I want to be able to get things done, and it really does take a factor when I can't do anything. I have to just watch her go through this, and I was pretty much, we were there together through the whole thing for everything, and I was able to talk about it with other men through the journey. Once I started being more open about the process, I was able to, a lot more men kind of came up to me and said, hey, I understand your struggles, and that really did help. Knowing that I wasn't alone in the journey. No man or woman should ever have to walk alone in an IVF journey. And really helped me open up and be better partner, better support system to my wife, knowing that, I don't have to just be bottled up and just over there in the corner or anything like that. I can still be a man, I can still be there, I can still provide, I can still do these things for my partner while we're both, going through a hard time, a hard battle. And it was very difficult, very difficult time.
So our third embryo transfer was on June 30th of 2025. I am currently 32 weeks pregnant with our first child, a little girl. Everything's kind of come full circle. We're back at Mosaic. The transition to care at Mosaic has been seamless, so easy compared to the rest of everything that we've been through. From the beginning, Dr. Dodson has been amazing. She's been sensitive and understanding of our circumstances because, yes, it's a normal pregnancy, and things have been going really smoothly, thank God. But she acknowledged from the beginning that we went through a lot to get to this point and that we may have more anxieties, and that she would do whatever she could to help walk us through everything and relieve some of those anxieties. So it just feels really good to be home, to be able to receive care here at home, not have to drive 4 hours round trip for appointments. So we're just happy to be back.
We said yes to being ambassadors just so we could tell our story to other people who are going through this or getting ready to go through this, to not be afraid or not be afraid and reach out to somebody. You're not alone, but definitely reach out and talk about it with other people is really helpful in this situation. So.